Welcome to 5% Radio, where it's all about learning like no one else today so you can live like no one else tomorrow. Please be sure to share and subscribe. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the 5% Radio podcast. Hopefully all you 5%ers are doing well out there. So today's episode is going to be built around P.D.C.A, which stands for Plan, Do, Check, and Adjust. Before we get into that, though, I want to cover a concept that probably most of you had not heard of, but there's a word, it's a Japanese word, and it's Kaizen. And it's K-A-I-Z-E-N. You can look this up on Google, look up definition of Kaizen. Kaizen is basically a philosophy built around good change. It's two words put together, good change and improvement. And really what this is it is a philosophy of continuous improvement, meaning growth. I'm constantly striving and seeking to be better in everything I'm doing. And we are specifically going to apply this to the area of making a plan, doing that plan, checking the results of that plan, and then adjusting as needed. The P.D.C.A process, which comes from the book Resolve 13 Resolutions for Life, which is a book by a leadership author that I follow and someone that I've quoted here frequently on the show named Orrin Woodward. Before we get into that, though, I want to just mention a brief quote. So, and you might have heard this before, and it sounds like just kind of a cute little quote, like, oh, yeah, it makes sense. Without a plan, you plan to fail. Okay, simple enough, face value. With yep, I agree with that. Without a plan, I plan to fail. Okay, so if I don't plan, probably I'm not going to hit my goal. But how many times do people say, well, I would like this result, but then they don't actually plan for it? So one of the things that I talked about in the intro to the show is that I would be updating you kind of frequently on where my wife and I were at in our journey to financial freedom. So it's looking like we are somewhere in the neighborhood of 1 to 2 years away from complete and total financial freedom. And by that, I don't mean depending on how you define financial freedom, Robert Kiyosaki in a lot of his books defines it as your passive income has passed your living expenses. Well, that may be technically financially free, but that's not really necessarily security to me. So yes, while there may be cash flow that is greater than my bills on a passive style income basis, that's all fine and dandy. It's wonderful to have, but at the same time, if I don't have a nest egg and if I don't have, to me, significant amounts of cash flow, like I'm not looking at my bills, let's say, are $3,000 a month and my cash flow is $3,500 a month, I'm not going to say, oh, I'm financially free. That's really not, in my opinion, and the circles that I run in as far as financial freedom is concerned and financial success, particularly in the B quadrant. If you're not really sure what that is, go back to episodes 4 and 5. But in the B or the I quadrant, where you're living off of passive income, so I'm no longer trading time for money, I'm no longer trading a service for money or selling something. I'm actually getting paid not for what I'm currently doing, but for what I did. So it's less important how much you make, and it's more important how you make your money. I've talked about this several times before on the show, but so we're currently to a place where we are, it's in sights. We're able to kind of start closing in on, okay, we could probably set a date of when we are officially completely financially free, meaning we've doubled, tripled, or more than that, our cash flow on a passive basis. So now instead of working a regular, 40 hours a week, I'm already down to about 15 to 20 hours most weeks of work. Some weeks are a little bit more, but that's kind of where I'm about right now. And then we are working on getting that down to 10 hours a week. So my ultimate goal is 10 hours a week, $10K a month in passive income. And we live on very, 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 very little. I save a lot of money, and I'm not really a spender. We're going to, we pay cash for vehicles. We're not looking to live some crazy flashy lifestyle. Even if I made, in interest of full disclosure, even if I made $100,000 a month in passive income, I'm not looking to flash or to show people, hey, look at the money we have. That's not what it's about. To me, it really is about freedom and independence, the ability to do what I want, when I want, where I want, with who I want, without having to ask permission or check a bank account or check a calendar, just being able to just go, just pick up and go whenever I want to. So that being said, if that is the goal, which I think most of us can agree that most people would enjoy more of time and more money. So it'd be great to have more time, it'd be great to have more money, but I have to plan for that. So the purpose of this episode is to really get it in your brain that you've got to plan for things, and then I'm going to go through a formula of exactly how you can actually work on Kaizen, continuous improvement, in whatever area you're setting that plan in. So again, simple statement, but without a plan, you plan to fail. Where there is no specific laid out game plan, for example, people don't hop in their car. I'm not going to hop in my car and grab one of my friends like, hey, Matt, let's go on a road trip. And then I stick Matt in my passenger seat. And Matt says, where are we going? And I'm like, dude, have no idea. Just hop in. It's going to be a great time. You would not board a ship if the cruise liner captain came over the speakers and he was like, attention, ladies and gentlemen, you're standing on the dock. And he's like, as you're boarding the ship, we just want you to know that we have no maps, no GPSs, no knowledge whatsoever of the territory we're going into, nothing, no nav system. But look, it's going to be a great time. Hop on board. I really think you're going to like where we end up. You're not getting on that ship. If I'm a pilot and I come over the speaker, ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. Little side note here. I actually did go to school for aviation and aeronautics for a short stint in my life. So I do have in 14 hours of private flight time. And that is something that I will be finishing my private pilot's license. It was private pilot's license. It was an absolute blast. And I would highly recommend it to anyone if you are obviously not afraid of small aircraft and being a mile up in the air in a small aluminum tube. If that's cool with you, then I highly recommend it. But anyway, so back to what I was saying. So if I come over the loudspeaker and I'm, ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking, and I let you know we have no autopilot, we have no maps. This is my pilot's first time flying a commercial aircraft. Other than this, they've done a little bit of, just kind of individual small gliders and things like that they bought a kit plane, put it together. So he does know how to fly, but he really doesn't know where we're going. But hopefully we shouldn't run into any mountains or hit any other planes. And also we have no contact with air traffic control. So really what I'm saying is there's no plan for the pilot, but hopefully everything is cool. You guys good. We'll give you peanuts, free water. Maybe, if you want to pop, not a big deal. Enjoy the flight. No. You're all getting off that plane. Like they would not leave the ground. But most people will spend more time planning their vacations than they will their life. So here's the deal. I want you to, if you have not actually written down what you want, if you have not written down what you want, I talked about this in earlier episodes. If you have not written down what you want, you need to stop this right now before you learn how to make a plan, before you learn how to do the plan, check the plan, adjust the plan as needed, like Warren Woodward talks about in his book. Before you learn how to do that, you need to learn where you're going. Before I can pick the route that I want to go on a map, I have to have the end destination. Before the cruise liner captain leaves the dock, leaves the harbor, he knows where he is going. Otherwise, he doesn't even know where to go as soon as he pulls out of the harbor. Before I go on a road trip, I know where I'm going. I pack accordingly. I put the address in my GPS, in my phone. If you're super old school and you're living in the 1999, early 2000s, you might go to mapquest.com. That's okay. If that's your deal, that's totally fine. I know people that still do that. It's fine. They do them. They get where they have to go. That's all that matters. But they have a place where they want to go before they can plug that in and ask for directions, before they ever hop in the car, turn the engine on, before they pack their bags, before they do any of that stuff, before they fill the car up with gas, before they decide, okay, when I pull out of the driveway, am I going left or right? Before any of that happens, they have to have a plan. You've got to have a plan. So the P.D.C.A process, the Kaizen process of continuous improvement, starts with having a plan. I have to have a goal in order to actually begin shooting for that goal. If we're playing basketball, and I know I'm using a million analogies here, but I really, really, really need you to get this. If you want to get to a position in your life where you have options, where you have time and money. Well, I'm not really concerned about money. Well, I can bet that you would like to have more time, and I can bet that you would like to have more money. So although you can say you're concerned about it, if you could work 40 hours a month and make what you currently make, or you could work 40 hours a week, they've done studies, 85%, 8.5 out of 10 people do not like what they do currently for a living. And when I say they don't like what they do, I mean if they were given the option to do something else and make the same amount of money, they would choose that option. They would choose option B. Option A is stay at work, keep doing what you're doing. Option B is go somewhere else. And don't get it, well, I have great benefits here and they have a great retirement program. Like, none of that. Just do you like what you do? Because you're going to spend 90 to 100,000 hours of your life working if you're trading time for money, selling a service, or selling anything. And so if you're in the S quadrant or the E quadrant, if you're trading time for money, if you're working actively for your money and it's not coming in passively, you're getting paid for what you're doing versus getting paid for what you did, then you will work 90 to 100,000 hours. So I hope you like what you do. I'm not trying to be rough, but you've got to decide what you want. You've got to make a plan before you start actually executing on that plan. So know what you want. You can say that money is not important to you, but you would rather have more of it than less. You can say that you don't need more time, but if I offered you to have twice the amount of time right now and still keep doing all the other stuff you're currently able to do, you would probably take me up on the offer. If I was just a magic genie, which I don't believe in magic genies, but just hypothetically, if I'm a magic genie and I came to you and I said, look, okay, I'm a magic genie. It's great to meet you. Nice to meet your acquaintance. Here's the deal. I can give you more time and more money. All you have to do is ask, would you take it? Probably. You probably would. So if that is a plan, if you would like that, start planning for that. Without a plan, you plan to fail. Okay, hopefully that is established. Last thing, if we're playing soccer, volleyball, basketball, table tennis, bowling, I don't care. Bowling, take the pins away. Basketball, take the hoop away. Soccer, take the goal away. Volleyball, take the net away. Table tennis, take the little net on the other side away. You have no clue of telling, did I score a point? Did I not? Did it make it over the net? Did I get it in the goal? Did I get a basket? Did I get a strike? You have there's no scoreboard. So I really have nothing to aim at. Therefore, I have no plan. I don't know where to throw the ball. I don't know why I'm throwing the ball. I don't know how to throw the ball because there's no plan. What am I throwing the ball at? There's no plan whatsoever. So you've got to have a plan. So here's the P.D.C.A process. Step 1. If you're taking notes, step 1. If you're driving, please don't take notes. Although I do that sometimes. It's not the safest thing. The other day, actually, I was driving down the road. So I have someone in my headset. I'm listening to them. I'm talking to them. I'm driving down the road. I have a notebook on my lap with a piece of scrap paper over it. I'm taking notes. And then I'm also, I think I was paying attention to my GPS as well. So I'm paying attention to my GPS. I'm on the phone. And then I'm trying to write something down to get it out of my brain before I forget. So driving, GPS, on the phone, taking notes with my right hand. And I'm not, like, that's probably not the greatest idea. I already told my wife about that, so I won't get in trouble when she listens to this. Like, we're good. But, like, I had a plan of what I wanted to do, and I'm like, I don't want to forget this, because I have a plan. I want to execute that plan. I don't want to, my goal is not to be busy. Many people are busy. I can dribble up and down the court all day during basketball, but if I don't actually make a goal, nothing gets accomplished. So I don't want to be busy. That's not my goal. My goal is to be proficient, productive, and effective as much as possible. So P.D.C.A, step 1, if you're taking notes, you have to plan. You have to plan. What does that look like? Okay, that looks like this. Set a definite goal. A goal is a dream with a deadline. So I would like X by Y date. I want this to happen by this date. That's the goal, and then I have to make a plan. So before I have a plan, I have to get a goal. So here's where I want to go. So the address that I want to go to is blah blah blah, Oceanside, California. Like, that's where I want to go. That's my goal. That is my target. Now, what's the plan to get there? What's the best route for me to take? Okay, so my plan is what I plug my goal into the GPS, and my plan is what the GPS tells me to do. So you have to actually lay out a plan for yourself. So if you want, let's say in our situation, we're looking to get full-time, 100% passive income, and we're literally to the point where we can set a date for that. We can see that's coming up very quickly. 12 months might sound like, oh, like that's kind of far off. It's really not. Think of what you were doing a year ago today. If you don't keep a journal, you probably don't know, but think about roughly a year ago today. What were you doing? You can probably think of that right now. Okay, roughly a year ago, 12 months ago, 11 months ago, I was doing exactly this. Great. How long did it take from last 12 months, a year ago, to now? Like, it went by quick. It went by very quick. So 12 months is really not that long. So we're getting to the point where we can set a date on that, but we have a plan. We have a plan that we follow every single month. That gets broken down into days. That gets broken down into weeks. So set your goal, and then as you're making your plan, make a macro, meaning a large plan, and then break that down into small chunks. So I have a goal, and then I have my plan, which will lay out, let's say, 30-day sprints. So you can do quarterly. So I could say, okay, every 3 months, but I would rather you do monthly, because most people don't have the long-term vision, consistency, and dedication to a process to do 90 days at a time, to do 3 months. So start with 30 days. If you're the type of person that can do 90 days right off the rip and you can plan quarterly, that's great. If you can plan things out in 12-week increments, so you could say, okay, for the next 3 months, the next 90 days, this is going to happen. If you can see that far and you find that works for you, phenomenal. That's usually where we start. But if you're a brand new person to actually making a plan and following a process after setting a goal, start with 30 days and then break that down even smaller into week increments. So if I'm planning for something, the end of the next year, this is my goal. My plan is going to be broken down into months at the macro level, and then on the micro level, weeks and days. Here's what I mean. So, okay, so here's my goal. At the end of the next 12 months, I have to accomplish X. So I'm doing X by Y. So 12 months from now, I will be at this point. There's my goal. There's my address that's going on my GPS. The plan is now broken down into quarterly, but more specifically, monthly. So monthly breaks down to weekly, weekly breaks down to daily, daily breaks down to hour by hour in my calendar. So number one, I am setting a plan. I'm setting a detailed plan. I'm not setting something vague. I'm not, oh yeah, well, my goal is this. That's a goal, but it's not a plan. I'm setting a plan. And then step number two is to do that plan. I know that's like, man, I did not see that coming. He made a plan. He did the plan. Okay, but that's not where it stops. I have to do that plan. So if my plan over the next 3 weeks, over the next 4 weeks, let's say over the next 30 days, was to do the certain thing that I set a goal for. So my plan over the next 30 days is to do this. And I'm going to break that down, and I'm going to actually do that plan. Whatever my first week is, I'm going to do that. After my first week, and you can do P.D.C.A, you can do plan, do, check, and adjust. You can do it monthly. You can do it weekly. If you want to be super effective, and this takes a lot of time and a lot of diligence, get to where you're doing it daily. And I'll break that down a little bit in just a second. But so start off with weekly. Most people can see 7 days because most of us are used to working Monday through Friday, and then woohoo, it's the weekend. We have Saturday, Sunday, and then we go right back to work. If you work a 9 to 5 or a regular 40, 50-hour week job, you're salaried, whatever it is. I don't care if you're in sales, if you get paid by the hour, if you're a commission, I don't care. But most of us are used to a 7-day week. That's kind of how we plan our lives. It's Sunday to Sunday, Saturday to Saturday, however you measure your week. Some of you are Monday to Monday. For my Monday people out there that love Mondays because you love the start of a new week, not because you necessarily love what you do for work, but you love the start of a fresh week. It's a new opportunity. You can have a new beginning. So those are my weirdos, but that's how I'm wired. I've always loved Mondays. I don't know what's wrong with me. But so anyway, I break that down from a year to quarterly to monthly to weekly. Now, I do my plan, so I plan what I'm going to do, and then I do that for 7 days. And then I come back to the drawing board and I say, okay, what went well and what did not go well? So this is the third step. This is adjust. Plan, do, check, and adjust. And just so you know, I know I'm specifically I talked about time, money, I talked about financial freedom. That's how this applies to me. But if you're just looking to how this applies to you, then here it is. Make a plan to achieve your goal. Start doing the plan and then start checking that plan weekly to begin with. If you can get down to daily, that's ideal. That would be perfect. But start out with weekly. So my goal was this. My plan was this. I started doing that plan. And then as I'm doing that plan, I start to check my plan. I start to actually check or observe my results in that plan. So for example, if my plan is to, as a little kid, ride a bike, my plan is to ride this bike as far as I possibly can before falling over. I begin doing that plan, meaning I engage in the activity of that plan. Okay, I want to ride from here to dad or here to mom. I'm going to go as far as I can without falling. Hopefully it goes well. Okay, here we go. And they start riding the bike and they begin checking immediately. Okay, do I need to change my balance? Do I need to change my steerage? Do I need to pedal faster? Do I need to pedal slower? Do I need to, correct course? So my steering wasn't necessarily off, but I started crooked. Okay, so how can I do that again? So they begin going through this process very rapidly. So P.D.C.A, plan, do. While they're in the middle of doing, they're doing the last two, check and adjust. I'm checking my plan. I'm checking the results, checking the fruit. Is what I'm doing working? Am I getting closer to my goal or further away from my goal? Let me pause and say this. If you have an activity that is taking you further away from the person or the place that you want to be or go, the thing that you want to accomplish, it's taking you further away, stop doing that and start doing something else. It's that simple. People are like, how do you accomplish blah, blah? Like, how could I ever get 6 figures in the bank? How could I ever be debt free? How could I ever get financially free? How could I ever live a life that I design? How could I ever have this? How could I ever do that? How could I ever achieve fill in the blank? Here's a great place to start. Stop doing that and start doing this. Take out a piece of paper and write, I will stop doing blank and I will start doing this. I will stop doing X and I will start doing Y. Replace what you're currently doing that's wrong, taking you away from where you want to go. You check the results. Okay, that's not working now. Step 4, make the adjustment, the course correct, steer the ship, turn the airplane, make a U-turn if you're driving the vehicle, and go and head a different direction. So I'm going this way, I'm going to stop, I'm going to start going that way. Make a directional shift. So plan, do, check, and adjust. So if you're in the middle of checking, it's not ever too soon to start adjusting. It's not ever too soon to go from step 3 to step 4. If you do step 3 and you don't do step 4, then you really don't want what you said you want. If my GPS tells me to turn right and I'm like, you know what? I know we're only an hour away from where we're going, St. Lucie, Florida. I know we're only an hour away from St. Lucie, Florida, but I don't really feel like turning left right now. It's just, just not feeling it, not my speed, whatever. And I'm going to go ahead and go right. I don't really want to get to my destination if that is my attitude. So if you begin checking, if you begin saying, okay, I will stop doing this and start doing that, and you go to do that thing and you're like, you know what? This isn't really that comfortable. So I checked my results. I realized that I'm not going where I want to go. I said that I have my goal set. I made a plan. I started doing the plan. I checked my results. Oh, fruit check. What I'm doing currently is not producing the results that I want in life. I'm getting further away from who I want to be or the place that I want to go, the goal I want to accomplish. Now it's decision time. You can either change, so I can check my fruit, I can change and I can make adjustments as needed to then make a new plan. So this is a loop. If you picture a circle with plan at the top, do on the right-hand side, check at the bottom, and then adjust on the left-hand side. So you've seen these things where one word leads to one arrow, like I talked about in episode 1, thoughts, feelings, actions, results. Same exact thing. We have a loop here. I make a plan. I do the plan. I check the plan, and then I adjust the plan. So we've got this exact same thing going on, and I want to make sure that I'm doing this in sequence. So when I begin checking, I immediately need to begin making adjustments, or at least planning for adjustments. Once I have started planning for my adjustments, I am then setting a brand new game plan. So a little kid, picture this little kid riding a bike. Okay, so I'm riding a bike. I'm not going where I want to go. So I'm starting to check my process. I'm checking my fruit. Okay, I'm not going to where I want to go. So I begin making adjustments. I begin steering right then. And then my plan in my brain automatically starts over again. Okay, so I need to pedal at this speed, steer at this speed, and make sure I balance like this. So there's my plan. Okay, I realized that my issue before was I wasn't pedaling fast enough. So now I'm going to begin pedaling. Now I'm going from plan to do again, P to D. I'm going from step 1 to step 2. Now I'm doing it again. Now I'll check my adjustments. Is that pedaling speed right? Oh, nope, it's not right. It's too fast. Now I need to go ahead and slow down just a little bit, start making adjustments. Oh, nope, that was too fast. Okay, so I don't want to slow down that quickly because I have a pedal brake bike if you were like me when I was learning how to ride a bike. So I don't even know if they make those anymore. I would hope that they do. Those things were amazing for doing candy canes and locking out the brakes, and you can go through some tires quick, though. I popped so many bicycle tires just by locking up the tires and skidding on the pavement or gravel or whatever. Just wear the tire down so then it just blows out the tube. So anyway, total sidebar. But so this kid is riding the bike, and as soon as they begin checking, they begin making adjustments, they go straight back to making a new plan. So this is not a hard process. If you want to have better finances, make a plan. Do the plan. Check the plan. Is it getting the results you want? If not, make adjustments, start over. Okay, now we have new plan. New plan, step 1. Made the plan, heading towards the same goal, different plan. The goal is written in stone. The plans are written in sand, meaning they're going to change, but the goal is not. If I have to change the way that I get there, that's totally fine. If I tell you I am going to Destin, Florida this weekend, it's going to be awesome, and then I find out that my car broke down, but I already bought tickets to a resort, guess what we're going to do? I'll rent a vehicle. I'll borrow someone else's car. I will take my other vehicle. Like, I'm not going to say, oh, well, the goal's changed. Yeah, no, forget it. We're not going. We'll just let the resort go to waste. What a bummer. A lot of people will do that. But if I really had a true goal, then I will change my plan as needed. There's no change big enough to be discouraging or intimidating enough that I would say, it's not worth the goal. I don't want to make that change. I don't want to make that adjustment because, that would be too uncomfortable. If I truly want the goal, then I'll make whatever change is necessary. I'll make as many plan, do, check, and adjust cycles as need be. If I have to do one every single day, if I have to do 100 weeks straight to hit my goal, and I have to make a plan, do the plan, check the plan, make adjustments as needed, if I have to do that for 100 months, I don't care. I don't care. If I'm serious about my goal, if you ever really wanted something in your life and you didn't get it, you either didn't work hard enough or you didn't really want it. It's one of the two. You either didn't really want it or you didn't work hard enough. You said you wanted it, but you weren't willing to put the work in. If you ever really wanted something in your life, hear this. If you didn't get it, you either didn't really want it or you didn't work hard enough. So if I really want this thing, if I really want this goal, I'm going to do whatever I need to plan, do, check, and adjust. If you want time and money, I've got to make a plan that will produce time and money. I've got to do the plan. I've got to check the results of that plan. I've got to make adjustments. If I want a good marriage, I have to have a plan to have a good marriage. I have to do that plan. I have to check the results of that plan. Is this working? Is our marriage better? Is it worse? I have to make adjustments as needed, which means swallowing my pride, getting rid of all ego, being teachable, being humble enough to say, you know what? I had an idea. It was wrong. I was wrong, without beating myself up in a healthy way. Go look in the mirror, so to speak, and say, you know what? What I thought was right, what I thought would work, wasn't right. I've got to find someone that can either help me figure this out, or I've got to just make a new plan, execute it. So make a plan, do the plan, check the adjustments needed, do the adjustments, start a new plan. Plan, do, check, adjust. Plan, do, check, adjust. That's all you need to do. If you want to learn a new skill, life is a series of learning skills. All of the things in life that, okay, I would like more time and money, those are skill sets. I would like to have a good marriage. Outside of putting Christ at the center of your marriage and getting things right ultimately, vertically and horizontally, vertically meaning me and God, I have that relationship right. Vertically meaning me and my spouse, so we're human. So I have supernatural relationship, me and my creator, and then I have the horizontal relationship, me and my spouse. Outside of getting the vertical relationship right, putting Christ at the center of my marriage, everything else is a skill set. Everything else. Learning how to communicate, skill set. Learning how to speak my spouse's love language, skill set. That if you are working way too much and you've got to figure out how to have better finances so you can have more time together as a married couple, great. That's a skill set. If you and your spouse fight all the time about stupid little things, guess what? Arguing versus not arguing, de-escalating conversations is a skill set. If I get obsessed with something to the point where it's unhealthy in my family, guess what? I can learn time management and I can learn how to regulate myself, help myself focus better. Everything that you would like to learn is a skill set. If I want to learn public speaking, guess what? Skill set. Make a plan, do the plan, check the plan, adjust the plan. If I want to learn, I don't know, how to work on vehicles, that is a skill set. If I want to learn anything in life outside of things that you are called to do, because if I'm not called to it, I can get all the skills. And if it's not something that I'm meant to do, meaning like it's not something that is purposed in my life for me to do, there are certain things that you do need to be called to do them. Could you have all the skill sets required and still not have the calling? Absolutely. But that's something that only you will know. No one else can tell you if you are or not called to something. But I will tell you this. Everything you want to learn, everything you want is on the other side of learning a skill set. People get all hung up on this. Well, okay, they hear something simple like plan, do, check, adjust. Okay, so I have a goal. I made a plan. I did the plan. I checked the plan. I adjusted the plan. Oh, the adjustments needed. It's something that I can't do. If you looked at a 2-year-old kid and you were like, oh man, you got to learn how to balance a bike and you can't do that currently, so you might as well just give up on riding bikes. That kid, probably 2 is probably an extreme example. Let's go like 5. That 5-year-old kid would look at you like you had 3 heads. Like, what do you mean? You told me that we were going to learn how to ride a bike today. I'm learning how to, it's an active process. Kaizen, continuous improvement. I'm good change, 2 words put together, good change, improvement, Kaizen, continuous improvement. I'm making good changes to learn how to improve so I can ride a bike. What do you mean if I don't have the skill sets right now, I should quit? It sounds silly. Imagine if I told my 1-year-old son, you know what, son, you keep falling down when you're walking on the wooden floor with socks. So here's the deal. Why don't you just never walk on a wooden floor with socks ever again? Just stay on the carpet, stay on the rugs. If you ever need to, every single time you're at someone's house and there's a wooden floor or tile, just look, stop, sit down, take your socks off, and then stand up and walk. He'd be 30 years old walking into someone's house, taking his shoes off like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize you guys had wood flooring, John. Oh, that's okay, Elijah. Nope, you know what? Is there a chair that I can sit down at to take off my socks? Like he'd be crippled for life because I told him like, you don't have a skill set now, honey, and you should probably just stick with not having that skill set the rest of your life. So please, if you want a goal, if you want to go somewhere, I'm not trying to be harsh, but I talked about responsibility in the last episode. This is Success 101. Take responsibility, take total, complete responsibility. I am responsible. This is my fault, good, bad, and different. I'm the one that created the result. It's my job to fix it. It's my job to make it better. So if you want something, plan, do, check, adjust. What if you find out the adjustment is involving skill sets that you don't currently have? Guess what? You can read, you can get courses, you can get mentors. It does not matter. If I wanted to become a high-level bodybuilder, I can buy books, I can buy magazines, I can take courses, I can hire a nutritional coach, I can do all of those things. I can acquire a skill set. Now, I was a bodybuilder in high school. That's kind of an odd example because I did that for years, so I know how to do that. If I wanted to go to like a pro level, though, I would have to hire a nutritionist. I would have to start reading books about dieting. I would have to learn how to cut weight for 16 weeks straight while losing as little muscle as possible and not dehydrating myself. I'd have to know exactly what supplements to take so I'm not going to damage my kidneys and all that I would have to know exactly what to do. Guess what? That's a skill set. I can acquire that. When you go from working 40 hours a week to 10 hours a week, making 2 to 3 times as much, that is a skill set to get there. It's not something this guy's gifted with. Oh, this God's really blessed that guy. No, he worked his butt off. He learned a skill set. Someone taught him. He was willing to be a good student. He was willing to make a plan, do the plan, check the plan, and adjust the plan. It drives me crazy when people take someone else's right of they did something extraordinary and people are like, oh, that guy's super blessed. Like, no, he probably worked his can off. You think you're going to look at some guy that's a multimillionaire and say, oh, he's just been so blessed. Like, he's going to tell you about all the time that he put in. He's going to tell you about how he started and he was terrible, how he was broke, how he grew up in a trailer park, all this different stuff. You look at someone that's got a great marriage. Oh, they're just so blessed. That's just such a gift. They've probably worked super hard. They've been married 50 years. They've worked hard to be married 50 years and be happy. Oh, they've got such great kids. I wish my kids were great like that. Guess what? They probably worked their butts off as parents. They've got such good finances. They're debt-free. Oh, I just wish that was the plan that God had for my life. No. You've got to make a plan, do the plan, check the plan, make adjustments, and work your can off. If you want something, you've got to work for it. Nothing comes free. I remember I heard this the first time I heard this. I was 18 years old, sitting in a room learning how to sell table knives for Cutco. Okay? And the guy put up a slide, and he said, there is no elevator to success. You must take the stairs. And I've always remembered that because this was the first time that I was ever getting taught success principle by people that were doing well, by people that were actually reaching their goals, setting a goal, making a plan, doing the plan, checking the plan, adjusting the plan. And I'm like, man, that's genius. There really is no elevator to success. I'm not going to get to where I want to go just because I'm like, oh, look, there, push button, boom, I'm there. And people are like, what was the journey like? Tell me about the struggle. And you're like, oh, the struggle was so hard. I went to push the elevator button and I missed and hit the wall and I jammed my finger and then I got on the elevator and it took like 30 seconds to get to the, no, you're going to be telling them about how terrible the stairs were, how rough it was to get there. But guess what? There was a process, step after step after step after step. Hopefully the plan, do, check, adjust process has been useful for you. Set a goal. That's the address that I'm going to plug into my GPS. Lay out a plan, step by step. If you can do 12 months, great. If you can do quarterly, meaning 12 months, and then break that up into 4 quarters, 4 3-month increments, great. If you can break it down into monthly, perfect. If you can go weekly, perfect. If you can go daily, that's ideal. Meaning I have a 12-month goal. So that's my macro cycle. Then I have quarters. Every 3 months, I'm going to be from from quarter 1, so months 1, 2, and 3, to quarter 2, months 4, 5, and 6. I'm going to go from here to here. And then Q3, months 7, 8, and 9, I'm going to be here. And then Q4, months 10, 11, and 12, I'm going to be here. If you can break that down like that, that's great. And then P.D.C.A. as quickly as possible. If you can plan, do, check, and adjust every single day, that's ideal. Start out probably with weeks. Start out with weeks if that's too difficult. If you have too short of a feedback loop, meaning I do an action and I get feedback from that action. If it's immediate, do it daily. If it's not immediate, do it weekly. If you don't have enough data to really figure out, okay, when I'm checking things, I don't know if that's a long enough feedback loop. I don't know if I can really make proper adjustments, then do it monthly or do it every 2 weeks. Figure out what works for you every 10 days. Figure out a cycle that works for you to make a goal. And then the goal stays in stone. The plans are in sand. Make a plan, do the plan, check the plan, adjust the plan as needed over and over and over. Kaizen, continuous improvement. Eventually, if you keep doing plan, do, check, and adjust, you will get to where you go. I don't care what it is. You will get to wherever you want to go if you stay in that process. Hope that helps, and I'll talk to you in the next episode.